Actually, when the sister runs outside, in the side of the shot, you can see her laughing at the man burning alive in front of her.
And somehow the dad sees the fire extinguisher sitting around the corner and grabs it.
Yeah, the dad grabs the fire extinguisher, puts him out, and then turns out the body is a goblin.
Yes, it's a goblin.
And then it's revealed, the big reveal, that everybody is actually goblins in human disguise.
And the cop's like, he was one of us.
So they kind of just stand there and watch as the family walks slowly backwards over the course of like 5 minutes, slowly backwards.
Just looking around at everyone.
Looking around, everybody's just standing still, back up into the porch, into the house.
The mother's face is still expressionless.
Yes.
She just has her mouth open this time.
Just disappointed. Yeah. And
creepy blue eyes.
So they hole up in the house. Meanwhile, cuts back to the last remaining friend that's alive, presumably.
Well, first the creepy lady ends up back at her church house, and you find out that it was her who was the goblin, and her hand's been chopped off. So she looks like she's been doing meth for about 4 days.
Yeah, she has these like meth sores all over her face. She's tweaking out.
Like she's been giving blowjobs to homeless guys who have herpes. And she's all freaking out, and she stands in front of this Stonehenge rock that is never really fully addressed what connection Stonehenge has with these goblins.
No, she says, my ancestors are from Stonehenge, as if Stonehenge is like a place that people lived.
Goblins. Yeah.
Like and there were houses and they lived inside of Stonehenge.
And so she somehow gets her hand is like miraculously replaced by the Stonehenge rock. And she somehow is all of a sudden hot and wearing like a low-cut dress.
Yeah, she goes from librarian, like ecstasy addict to like meth head, like skank whore. I don't even.
Like first her hair's all tied back and she has like dark circles around her eyes and she's all pale wearing glasses, and then all of a sudden she's like. Yeah, she looks like a prostitute.
And she's ready to get laid, basically.
Yeah, and she's wearing this skimpy-ass dress.
So she channels through the television that the last remaining boyfriend's friend is. He's sitting in the RV watching TV, not worrying about where anybody went at this point.
Just sitting there with his shirt unbuttoned, hanging out.
She pops onto the TV, wandering in the woods, talking to him through the television with a corn cob.
Yeah, holding a cob of corn like it's some sort of sexual instrument.
So she shows up, comes up to the RV, and starts like straddling him, and you're like, okay, she's trying to seduce him to turn him into the vegetable thing.
And she asks, "Are you hungry?" And he goes, "Sure, I love popcorn," even though it's clearly just corn on the cob. Like, it's not even dried. It's just boiled corn.
What's her line? We can heat it up.
Yeah, we have. If you want it to be popcorn, we can heat it up or something.
So they do a little Lady and the Tramp thing, except instead of spaghetti, it's a corn cob, and they're munching away on it. And then
popcorn shoots out from the side of the
There's no other
RV.
scene like this in the movie. Popcorn just starts shooting out, not from the corn cob, from the corners of the shot.
Yeah, just covering them in popcorn.
They are covered in popcorn, about to have sex, and
like a mountain of popcorn. It's ridiculous.
And then it cuts away, and you're like, okay, well, she's seducing him to be killed or whatever.
Well, the family still holed up in their house that's surrounded by the townsfolk who throw them sandwiches and say, hey, it'll go easier if you eat these sandwiches, because if you don't, when we kill you, the sandwiches will kill you, but if we have to kill you violently, your meat will be filled with blood and we'll have to soak it in vinegar to get rid of the blood. And they think that, the people are just going to play right along and eat these sandwiches. And the cop has a line that's classic. It goes, he shoots the shotgun because he goes, let's show them we're still out here. And he shoots the shotgun and he goes, why aren't they giving us a sign of life? And you're like, why did he say that?
Perfect example of the weird, stilted, like, very unnatural dialogue.
Yes.
Why aren't they giving us a sign of life?
So they're still hiding in the house, and somehow they decide to do a seance to bring the grandfather back, because that's
Joshua gets the bright idea. He says, hey, let's do a seance and bring Grandpa back. They do the seance, and then, for no reason that is ever explained,
a goblin just drops out of the ceiling.
No, not only does a goblin drop out of the ceiling, Joshua appears to turn into a goblin and then attack them.
Well, it shows him kind of turn into a goblin, but then he's at that weird church house.
Right.
So I don't know if
somehow the seance teleports him to the weird church dried ice meth house.
But there's a goblin there at the house that starts attacking the family.
There's goblins everywhere at this point.
So
shit is going down.
The mom, the boyfriend, the dad, and the daughter are still stuck at this house, trying to get away from these goblins that just kind of stroll through the house like there's nothing going on. Like, they really don't seem like they want to catch the people. They're just kind of there to terrorize them.
At the meth house, Grandpa pops up again and gives Joshua a backpack and says something about when the time comes to use this, look at what's inside. Even though giving him a little bit of foresight into what the fuck is in this backpack would have been a little bit helpful.
He just says, when you need it, use it. And you're like, well, how does he know when to use it if he doesn't know what it is?
There could be a roll of toilet paper inside. It could be
when he shits himself.
An automatic weapon. I don't know. There's a lot of different things.
But it's just a backpack. And he says, here, take this.
Grandpa's time is up at this point for whatever reason, and he
had like 10 minutes left on this planet as it goes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. There's always with the times, Grandpa.
So,
30 seconds, 10 minutes. I don't know what's with the time limits.
So the family's stuck at the house, and Joshua's stuck at the church house, and you've come to find out that the creepy lady who looks like a librarian is actually the queen of the goblins.
Which kind of could be extrapolated by what's gone on up to this point.
Either you knew she was the leader of the goblins, or she was like a goblin sympathizer.
It's kind of obvious.
Feeding them and stuff.
But she reveals it as if it's some sort of big revelation.
Yeah. So she starts screaming because she looks trashy again.
She's all tweaked out at this point.
And so they're like, oh, the Goblin Queen needs us. So they somehow transport to this church house.
The goblins transport away from the house to help her at the church fight Joshua.
And then the family decides, hey, we need to go find Joshua.
They say, we need to go help Joshua.
And they somehow end up at this church house.
Even though he teleported to this church during the seance, and they have absolutely no way of knowing where in the hell he went. For all they know, he turned into the damn goblin.
But somehow they show up there.
So Joshua gets cornered, opens the backpack, and the big reveal of what is inside this backpack is a bologna sandwich.
Double-decker bologna sandwich.
It's like an entire pack of bologna.
It's disgusting.
Between two pieces of bread.
And the goblins start lecturing him on how bad it is to eat meat.
Another stab at vegetarians. Yeah. They leap back when they see the sandwich, and he takes a bite, and it's like he's...
But they're like trying to tell him, oh, it's so bad for your arteries.
Yeah, they say it's bad for your arteries.
And they're like trying to keep him from eating the sandwich.
Think of your health.
But then he takes a big bite, and they all jump back, and he just walks past them.
Then he goes back to the Stonehenge stone,
and he throws the rest of the sandwich
at them. That's like having a gun loaded with bullets and throwing the gun instead of shooting somebody.
Yeah, and he's just chewing on that one bite, and he goes, well, Grandpa told me that only goodness can defeat these monsters. So he starts touching.
He assumes he's good, and even though he's like having psychotic episodes, and goes and puts his hands on this Stonehenge thing, and the family just shows up, somehow knowing where he is, and he tells them, oh, we have to put our hands on the Stonehenge
So they all start handing on the Stonehenge, and somehow the goblins start, like, bleeding the green NyQuil cough syrup.
They kind of just start puking and tumbling over, and that's...
And eyes are exploding.
That's about it. They just die. So that's the end of the major plot. And then it goes to this...
But you find out that the kid in the RV that was covered in popcorn and sex, he's still alive. He just spits out some popcorn and is like, oh, no more. And then he's like, he's still alive, but you never see from him again.
Up to this point, everybody has been turned into a vegetable matter to be consumed. But somehow that woman, the meth head, went out of her way to go to this RV and fuck this guy with popcorn.
This kid, and then... leaves him. Just like, I just wanted some sex, so I'm out of here.
So I guess,
Maybe that's like when people say, the prostitute gave the money back. Maybe it was that good, and she's just like, hey, I'll let him live.
Full circle here. Theoretically, the unnamed friend of the boyfriend that got laid and covered in popcorn technically had the best ending.
Yeah, because he
got laid.
He never saw any of his friends die. He got laid.
His plot arc was... He was going to go in this RV with his friend
to
find loose women.
Yes.
He didn't get killed.
He goes
he
camping,
got laid.
He gets laid.
He got food. He got the popcorn.
Yeah.
Presumably, it's kind of foody.
And then he's just left there with an RV. So he's like, hey. Yeah. But so the family just hops in their minivan, which I found strange because there's a mom, a dad, a daughter, and a son, and yet they have this giant minivan that seats like 8 people. And they are just like, hey, but then they still have to tie their luggage on top of the minivan because there's not any room inside.
So it just cuts to them being home again.
Well, yeah, they're driving, and then they show up back home, and the dad's like, I have to swing by the office. He says,
I have to go by the office. Even though at this point, about, 3 to 4 days have elapsed where they have not eaten anything.
At all.
They've eaten nothing. And their first thought is not, hey, let's get some food. It's, I gotta stop by the office, back to the grind.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta. And then the daughter, is she going to the boyfriend's house?
Yeah, she decides, I'm gonna go over to the boyfriend's house.
And the boyfriend's like, okay, because they're like, well, we still gotta talk. So the dad and the daughter and the boyfriend stay in the van, and the mom and the son get out and go in the house.
So Joshua, the mom starts eating an apple, and Joshua's like, I'm gonna go take a nap. And he goes upstairs, plays with the Tonka truck for about 2 minutes,
take a nap.
and then just leaves back out into the main area of the house. And he goes down the stairs, and
the baseball comes bouncing down the stairs.
Like the changeling, this ball comes tumbling down the stairs.
Your mommy is so good, or something like that.
Oh, that's a little erotic.
That's what it says.
Did it say like yum or delicious?
Yeah, yum, mom is so good, or something like that. Which sounds like they're having sex with her.
So he goes up to the shower, and it looks like mom
messed
diarrhea, herself.
Yeah, green diarrhea.
That apple,
everywhere.
First thing to hit her stomach in 4 days, and didn't agree with her digestive system. So he goes downstairs, and her body's being consumed. The only part left is her breasts.
Yeah, it looks like a mannequin with the breasts. Just the mannequin's like torso with breasts. And green slime all over it, and these goblins are just scooping it up and eating it.
Because they killed her in the shower, but took her downstairs to eat her at the dining table.
Yeah.
They're at least that civilized.
And somehow the kid comes around the corner and sees this, and instead of running away terrified, continues to walk towards the table until he's in like speaking range with these goblins as they're devouring his mother.
And then it ends on the screaming shot of the kid, like almost a...
Well, one of the goblins goes, oh, this is good. Do you want some, Joshua?
Yeah.
And then he's just screaming, and it goes to black, and has the credits roll.
And that is Troll 2.
And it was terrible. It is literally the worst.
The masterpiece of Claudio Fragasso from Italy.
The only thing he's ever made.
Yeah, terrible movie. At this point, it's on Netflix Instant Watch.
The costumes are bad. The acting is bad. The acting is worse than the costumes, and the costumes are pretty bad.
The acting is really bad. I don't know if it goes so far as falling into so bad it's good. It's not in that sweet spot for me.
Not quite.
I don't know if I'd recommend seeing it. It's just so bad. It's shit.
For a horror movie, I sure did laugh a lot.
It was pretty funny.
That was the problem, is I just laughed. Because at some points, the kid sounds like he has an Irish accent, too, because he stumbles over his lines so bad that it sounds like he has an Irish accent.
There's strange pauses. Like, they didn't have enough film to film multiple takes,
yeah.
So he did a half-decent take, and they're like, screw it, let's use it, let's go.
And he is sweaty a lot during the movie.
There's a lot of sweaty scenes.
Yeah, he's just all sweaty, and he screams a lot, and you can see up his nose the whole time, and it's pretty disturbing.
This kid's got kind of an upturned little pig nose. You can see some snot action going on in a lot of shots.
Bad. And his teeth are terrible, and he just... he's
We're really critical of this poor little kid.
This poor child should never have been on screen in the first place. But yeah, the movie overall, I thought that was the one thing that struck me. Is for a horror movie, I wasn't scared. There was no even jumpy out where I was shocked at all. I was just laughing at everything.
And to the best of my understanding, this actually has no correlation to the movie Troll, which came, I think, 4 years before this. I don't think it's not the same director. I don't think it has any... I haven't seen Troll, but I don't think there's any plot relation. I think it's trying to hang on to the coattails of a movie that I don't think was very successful either.
Capitalize on the semi-success of another movie.
Of another B movie.
It was literally... I can't understand how this movie... It can't have made any money. Even though they used people that have probably never acted in their entire lives, and then never acted after that, they still probably had to pay more than this movie made.